my grandfather's cabin was nothing more than a thin ribbon of dirt swallowed by towering pines. I hadn't driven it in over a decade, not since childhood summers when the forest seemed alive in a friendly, magical way. But grandfather was gone now, and someone had to clear the place out. I arrived just before dusk. The cabin looked smaller than I remembered, crouched like an old animal between black-barked trees. Moss clung to the roof, and the wooden steps sagged under my weight. The key felt cold in my hand as I slid it into the lock, the metal scraping with a sound too loud for the empty woods. The door creaked open. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of cedar and something faintly metallic, rust or blood. Dust motes drifted through the last rays of light, turning the living room into a slow-motion snow globe. My footsteps stirred echoes that didn't quite match my pace, as if someone, or something, followed a beat behind. I set down my bag and began sorting through drawers and shelves. Old photographs stared back at me. My grandfather as a young man standing beside people I didn't recognize. In each picture, the background was the same. The forest behind the cabin, darker than it should have been, shadows where no trees stood. On the mantel rested a cracked clock, frozen at 3:17. When I nudged it, the pendulum swung once, twice, and stopped, still dead silent. I shivered, though the evening was warm. As night settled, the forest outside came alive with a restless whispering. Wind, I told myself, just wind. But there was a rhythm to it, a pattern that made the hair on my arms rise. Then the kitchen door slammed. I spun around. The door's old brass handle was still quivering, as though someone had just let go. I checked every room. Empty. Yet a low hum vibrated through the floorboards, like a distant chant. I remembered the stories grandfather used to tell by the fire, how the forest was older than the mountains, how it watched over those who trespassed. I'd laughed then. Now, in the silent cabin, the words felt like a warning. I built a small fire to chase away the damp and tried to read, but the flames flickered strangely, as if reacting to movements I couldn't see. Shadows stretched too long across the walls, curling like smoke fingers. The clock on the mantel ticked once, though it had no batteries. I decided to sleep anyway. The bedroom smelled of dry pine and something damp, like soil after rain. At 2 a.m., a sharp crack snapped me awake. The ceiling beams groaned. Then I heard it, soft, deliberate footsteps pacing the hallway. I grabbed my flashlight and opened the door. The hallway stretched into darkness. My beam of light caught something, a shadow that didn't belong to me, slipping into the living room. Heart pounding, I followed. The living room was empty, but the front door stood ajar, swinging gently though there was no breeze. Outside, the forest pulsed with silence, as if every creature held its breath. The moon hung low, staining the ground with silver. I should have left right then. Instead, I noticed a faint glow behind the cabin near the old woodshed. I stepped outside. The night was unnaturally still. Even the insects had gone quiet. My breath plumed in sudden cold. The glow came from a circle of stones I'd never seen before, half buried under moss. Symbols were carved into them, spirals, eyes, and a shape like a twisted tree. In the center lay a small wooden box. I knelt and lifted the lid. Inside were faded photographs of my grandfather, younger but with eyes hollow and terrified. Beneath the photos lay a journal. Its pages smelled of smoke and damp earth. The last page was smeared with something dark, and the writing clawed across the paper. The forest chooses its own. I tried to leave, but it followed. If you find this, You cannot stay the night." A sudden gust extinguished my flashlight. The forest went black. Then came the whispers, dozens of voices overlapping, rising and falling like the wind, but carrying words I almost understood. They swirled around me, pressing closer. I ran, branches clawing at my face, until I burst back into the cabin and slammed the door. The whispers didn't stop. They seeped through the walls, 1,000 murmurs shaping one thought: stay. Windows rattled. The floor shivered beneath my feet. In the corner, a dark figure coalesced, taller than any man, its eyes twin embers burning through the dark. It smelled of wet soil and old iron. It stepped forward. I backed into the hallway, heart hammering, and the figure followed with impossible grace. Every light in the cabin flickered on at once, casting sharp angles that twisted the creature's outline, but never revealed a face. "Grandfather," I whispered before I could stop myself. The figure tilted its head, almost curious. Then the entire cabin moaned like a living thing. From the ceiling, a slow drip of dark liquid spattered the floorboards. The scent of cedar was drowned by something coppery and sweet. I grabbed my car keys and fled, not daring to look back. The forest road stretched endlessly, trees twisting in my headlights like watching sentinels. Branches scraped the roof of the car like claws. My rearview mirror showed nothing, and then, for a breathless second, everything. Glowing eyes pacing me between the trees. Only when the first pink light of dawn broke over the horizon did the whispers finally fade. My hands trembled so violently on the steering wheel that I barely kept the car on the road. I never returned to the cabin. But sometimes, late at night, when the wind slips through the cracks of my apartment, I hear the echo of those voices calling my name, inviting me back to finish what the forest began. And sometimes, in half-sleep, I smell cedar and iron and feel the cold weight of a key in my palm.